chaos is threatening the Australian Open with another case of COVID discovered on a flight bringing players in from overseas.
There are now 72 Australian Open players in hard quarantine.
It's not worth the risk. Be selfish. Look after ourselves. We want to keep Victoria open. We don't want to go into lockdown. We don't want more people to die. We don't want to be locked in the house.
After a year of cancellations, the Australian Open was meant to kick off 2021's international tennis calendar safely and smoothly.
Sorry I didn't make the bed. I don't think I will many days.
New Zealand doubles player Artem Sitak arrived late last week on a flight chartered by Tennis Australia from Los Angeles.
We got to the Melbourne air base. We went through all the security, all the protocols over there, which was very well organized. Then we had buses that took us to our respective hotels. It was very long, obviously. People were tired, but relatively smooth, yeah.
But soon after arrival, news of a positive test result from his flight meant he would spend the next 14 days in hard quarantine, unable to leave his room even for training.
I have a bike in my room. I have a lot of equipment. This is my exercise area. Tough, obviously, to stay in shape being in the room, but try to do as much as I can. We had a call with the ATP and Tennis Australia, and it was very clear. They said that if there is a case, it's going to be up to the health authorities to decide what to do in the particular case, in the particular scenario. So for me, it was clear what was going to happen. Is I know how difficult it was for Melbourne, how tough the lockdown here was, how long people were locked up. So I was prepared for that.
But not all players say they were warned beforehand that they would need to quarantine if there was a positive case on their flight. We made our decision to come here from rules that were sent to us, tweeted Swiss world number 12 Belinda Bencic late on Saturday night. Then we arrived and received new rules that we did not know about.
And I know there's been a bit of chatter from a number of players about the rules. Well, the rules apply to them as they apply to everybody else, and they were all briefed on that before they came.
Meanwhile, world number 1 Novak Djokovic reportedly sent a list of requests to the Open's tournament director, including for players to be released from hotel quarantine into private housing with tennis courts. Tennis Australia did not respond in time for broadcast.
I'm here not so much to be opining about the how in touch with the real world some of these people are. That's not my job. My job is to make it very clear. People were told what the rules were. The rules will not be changing because the public health advice is where those rules came from.
Allowing those people to go out and practice just increases the risk that COVID-19 will be transmitted within the community. These people aren't so special that they're not going to get COVID-19. They're not so special that they can't spread COVID-19. So they shouldn't be so special to be able to not abide by the quarantine that the rest of us do.
I think the players should be conscious of reading the room, of understanding what the situation is in Australia.
Journalist Ben Rothenberg covers tennis for the New York Times and believes some players might have been ignorant of the recent history of Melbourne's harsh lockdown.
And even what it was going to be there in Melbourne with players, being allowed out for 5 hours a day to go train and things like that. Those aren't privileges that have been afforded to normal people coming into the country. So tennis was already getting a little bit of bending from the Victorian government, and now that is snapped back. I think it's caused a lot of whiplash for tennis players who haven't really felt a full crackdown like this previously.
For remaining players who have not been exposed to a positive case, they'll be allowed 5 hours of restricted training per day in a designated facility.
My concern continues to be the practice, so them having 5 hours of practice per day. This is very different than the typical person that's in quarantine, so it does expose them to more people. And I would say for tennis players that refuse to follow or don't follow the rules, they shouldn't be allowed to play.
So far, roughly 1,200 people have arrived on 15 chartered flights, with 6 positive cases linked to the tournament and 72 people forced into hard quarantine.
Brett Sutton today in the press conference talked about there being about a 1% rate of positivity amongst international travellers. No one should be surprised that someone was positive on these flights. If we've already had these people over here, we already have the risk from these people coming to Australia. To not have the Open at this point, to me, it's not about risk anymore. It's about something else.
At the same time, I mean, the tennis players, aren't the ones who decided to barge on in here. They were invited here or allowed to be here by the government. They're an easy scapegoat because they're sort of easy to paint as, foreign, out-of-touch millionaires, and that makes them a soft target in times like these.
There are now 3 weeks to go until spectators arrive for the Australian Open. But until then, the world will be watching closely.
A tournament like the Australian Open struggling would be chilling for the future outlook of the rest of the tour, for sure.
Hoping that, nothing else will come out. That's the only thing we can hope for.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.